"You're not my real mom." The words sliced through the air like a butcher's knife, cutting into my heart with surgical precision. My 17-year-old daughter Madison stood before me, her mascara running down her flushed cheeks, chest heaving with each angry breath. The college acceptance letter I had been so excited to show her lay crumpled at her feet. "I've always known something was wrong," she continued, her voice cracking. "The way you look at me sometimes. Like you're hiding something. The way you never talk about my birth. The way Grandma slips up and calls you by your middle name sometimes." I froze, my fingers digging into the kitchen counter behind me. How did she know? We had been so careful. For 17 years, we had protected her from a truth that would shatter her world. A truth I had sworn to take to my grave. "Madison, please, let me explain," I whispered, reaching for her arm. She jerked away, as if my touch burned her skin. "Don't. I found my birth certificate in your closet. It was hidden in that old blue box you never let me touch." Her voice lowered, becoming dangerously calm. "It lists my mother as Sarah Elizabeth Campbell. Your name is Catherine Ann Wilson. You've been lying to me my entire life." The room started spinning. That certificate was supposed to have been destroyed years ago. James had promised me he'd taken care of it before we moved to Portland, before we started our new life, before Madison was even old enough to remember. "I searched her name online," Madison continued, her words gaining momentum like a boulder rolling downhill. "Sarah Campbell disappeared 17 years ago from Millfield, Ohio. There was a police investigation. Her picture was on the news." Her voice broke. "She looks just like me." My throat closed as if invisible hands were choking me. Outside our kitchen window, I could see our neighbor, Mrs. Peterson, walking her dog, completely unaware that my world was imploding just feet away. How ordinary everything looked when nothing would ever be ordinary again. "I called the Millfield Police Department," Madison said, and my heart stopped. "They said the case is still open." "You did what?" The words escaped my lips before I could stop them. Her eyes narrowed. "So it's true then? You took me from her? You stole me?" "No," I gasped, finally finding my voice. "Madison, it's not what you think. Please, sit down. Let me explain everything." "I don't want your explanations. I want the truth," she screamed, grabbing her backpack from the chair. "I'm going to find her, my real mother." "Madison, please," I begged, panic rising in my chest like floodwater. "You don't understand what you're doing. There are things you don't know." "I know enough," she spat, backing toward the door. "My entire life has been a lie. You're not my mother. You're nothing to me." As she turned to leave, something fell from her backpack, a small plastic bracelet, the kind hospitals put on newborns. It skittered across our hardwood floor, spinning to a stop at my feet. "Where did you get this?" I whispered, bending down to pick it up with trembling fingers. "It was in the same box as the birth certificate," Madison said, her voice suddenly uncertain. "I thought it might be mine." I turned the faded hospital bracelet over in my palm, revealing the name typed on the weathered label, Baby Girl Campbell, and below it, in handwritten blue ink that had survived 17 years, Mother, Catherine Wilson. Madison's eyes widened as she stared at the bracelet, confusion replacing her anger for just a moment. That's not possible," she stammered. "The birth certificate is a forgery," I finished for her, my voice steadier now. "This bracelet is real. I am your mother, Madison. But Sarah Campbell, she was real too." Madison took a step back, her hand reaching for the doorknob behind her. "You're lying. Again. I've never told you the whole truth because I wanted to protect you," I said, feeling the weight of 17 years of secrets pressing down on me. "But I'm your mother in every way that matters. And if you walk out that door now, you'll never know what really happened in Millfield 17 years ago." She hesitated, tears streaming down her face. "Why should I believe anything you say?" I took a deep breath, knowing that once I spoke the next words, there would be no going back. Our life as we knew it would be over. Because Sarah Campbell isn't missing, Madison. She's dead, and they think I killed her. My name is Catherine Wilson, though for the past 17 years, I've lived as Kate Wilson Taylor, wife to James Taylor, and mother to Madison. We live in a modest 3-bedroom house in Portland, Oregon, with blue shutters that need repainting, and a garden that blooms with roses every spring. I'm 43 years old. I teach 3rd grade at Pinewood Elementary, where I'm known for my patience and my homemade cookies at parent-teacher conferences. On paper, my life looks ordinary. predictable, safe. Every morning, I wake up at 5:30 a.m. to make breakfast for Madison and James. I pack healthy lunches, check homework, and make sure everyone has what they need for the day. I volunteer at the local animal shelter on weekends. I host a book club once a month. I make casseroles when someone in the neighborhood is sick. No one here knows about Millfield. No one knows about Sarah. No one knows that I look over my shoulder whenever I see a police car, or that I've rehearsed what to say if someone ever knocked on our door asking questions about a 17-year-old cold case. Madison had always been a happy child, bright, creative, stubborn in the way that gifted children often are. She inherited my green eyes and James's dimples when she smiles. She plays violin in the school orchestra and wants to study marine biology in college. At least that was the plan until yesterday, when everything fell apart. I watched through the kitchen window as Madison sat on our porch swing, the hospital bracelet clutched in her hand. She hadn't left as she'd threatened. Something had kept her here. Curiosity, confusion, or perhaps just the simple fact that despite her anger, this was still her home. I was still the woman who had bandaged her knees, checked for monsters under the bed, and stayed up all night when she had the flu. James wouldn't be home for hours. He was at a conference in Seattle, unreachable by phone during his presentation. By the time he returned, our daughter might be gone, and with her, the fragile life we'd built. I made 2 cups of hot chocolate, Madison's with extra marshmallows, the way she'd liked it since she was little, and carried them outside. The October air was crisp, carrying the scent of wood smoke and fallen leaves. Madison didn't look up as I sat beside her, placing her mug on the small table next to the swing. "I remember the first time I held you," I said softly, staring out at our quiet street. "You were so tiny, 5 pounds, 3 ounces. Your fingers were like little seashells, perfect and delicate. You wrapped your hand around my finger, and I promised I would protect you for the rest of my life." Madison remained silent, but I saw her shoulders relax slightly. "I never wanted to lie to you," I continued, "but sometimes the truth is complicated. Sometimes it's dangerous." "How can the truth be dangerous?" Madison finally asked, her voice hoarse from crying. "Because people believe what they want to believe," I replied. "Because sometimes what looks like the truth isn't the whole story." She turned to me then, her young face solemn in a way that made her look suddenly older. "Tell me who Sarah Campbell was." I took a deep breath. Sarah was my best friend. We grew up together in Millfield. It's a small town in Ohio, the kind where everyone knows everyone's business. We were inseparable from kindergarten through high school. She was beautiful, magnetic, the kind of person who lit up a room just by walking into it. "And she was my mother," Madison said. Not a question, but a statement. I shook my head slowly. "No, Madison. I am your mother. But Sarah was pregnant with you when she disappeared." Madison's brow furrowed. "I don't understand." "Sarah and I both got married young," I explained. "Her to a man named Robert Campbell, me to your father, James. We bought houses on the same street. We planned to raise our children together. But something went wrong," Madison guessed. I nodded, the familiar ache blooming in my chest. He changed after they got married. He became controlling, jealous, then violent. Sarah tried to leave him 3 times before she found out she was pregnant. Madison's fingers tightened around the hospital bracelet. "With me?" "Yes," I whispered. She was terrified. Robert had always said if she ever tried to leave him again, he would kill her. And now she was carrying his child. "So what happened?" Madison asked, her voice barely audible. I closed my eyes, memories washing over me like a tide. The late-night phone calls, the bruises Sarah tried to hide, the fear in her eyes growing with each passing day. Sarah came to me for help. She was 8 months pregnant and desperate. We made a plan. I would help her disappear. New name, new city, new life. She would have the baby somewhere safe, and then I trailed off. "And then what?" "And then Robert found out," I said simply. "He came to her house the night before we were supposed to leave. There was a struggle. Sarah fell down the stairs." Madison gasped softly. "She died?" "Not immediately," I said, my voice catching. "She was rushed to the hospital. They performed an emergency C-section to save you. Sarah lived long enough to name you Madison after her grandmother, long enough to make me promise to keep you safe from Robert. And my birth certificate? The one that says Sarah is my mother? A fake," I admitted. "Robert created it later, when he was trying to find you. He had connections at the county clerk's office, but the hospital bracelet is real. I am your biological mother, Madison. Sarah was never able to have children. That was one of the things Robert held against her. She was carrying my baby. Your baby? Madison's eyes widened. How is that possible? I was a surrogate for Sarah and Robert. We never told anyone in town. It would have raised too many questions. But when Sarah decided to leave Robert, she knew she couldn't leave you behind with him, and I couldn't bear to lose both of you. Madison was silent for a long moment, processing this information. So Robert Campbell, he's not my father. No, I said firmly. James is your father. He always has been. But if you're my real mother, and Dad is my real father, then why did we have to run away? Why change our names? Why not just tell the police what happened to Sarah? I took a sip of my cooling hot chocolate, buying myself a moment. Because Robert told the police I pushed Sarah down those stairs, that I killed her to steal her baby, you, and they believed him. Madison's face paled. There's a warrant out for your arrest? For murder? There was. I corrected. The case went cold years ago. With no body and no suspect. They eventually moved on to other cases. No body. But you said Sarah died at the hospital. I looked away. Her body disappeared from the morgue the night after you were born. Robert had friends in the hospital administration. The official report says I stole her body to hide evidence of my crime. Madison stood suddenly, pacing the length of our small porch. This is insane. This can't be real. I wish it wasn't, I said quietly. I've spent 17 years looking over my shoulder, wondering if today would be the day they found us. Wondering if Robert was still looking for you. Is he? Madison asked, fear creeping into her voice for the first time. I don't know, I admitted. The last I heard, he had remarried and moved to Cincinnati. But Madison, when you called the Millfield Police Department, you put us back on their radar. You've reopened the investigation. Her face crumpled. I didn't know. I thought I was finding my real mother. You already had her, I whispered, reaching for her hand. I'm right here. I've always been here. Madison didn't come down for dinner that night. I left a plate outside her bedroom door, but it remained untouched when I checked later. James called around midnight, his voice warm and excited about his presentation. I couldn't bring myself to tell him what had happened. Not over the phone. Not when he was hours away and couldn't hold me while our world collapsed. Everything okay at home? He asked, sensing something in my silence. We're fine, I lied. Madison's just a little upset about college applications. Tell her not to worry. With her grades, she'll get into any marine biology program she wants. I will, I promised, tears stinging my eyes. Drive safely tomorrow. We miss you. Miss you too, Katie. Love you both. I hung up and leaned against the kitchen wall, sliding down to sit on the cold tile floor. How had we gotten here? After all our careful planning, all our precautions, all the stories we'd memorized and the paper trails we'd created. One hidden box, one curious teenager, and it was all unraveling. My phone buzzed with a text message. Unknown number. It's been a long time, Catherine. My blood froze in my veins. No one called me Catherine anymore. No one except... Another message appeared. I hear Madison's looking for answers about her mother. Perhaps I should pay you both a visit. Robert. It had to be. But how had he found us? How had he gotten my number? The answer came in a third message. Your daughter is quite helpful on social media. Finding my real mom is trending in her private groups. I scrambled to my feet, racing up the stairs to Madison's room. I knocked frantically. Madison, open the door, please. No answer. Madison, this is an emergency. When she still didn't respond, I used the emergency key we kept on top of the door frame. Her room was empty, the window open. On her desk, her laptop was still on, open to an Instagram account I'd never seen before. Madison Campbell had been created yesterday. The bio read, searching for the truth about my mother, Sarah Campbell, who disappeared from Millfield, Ohio in 2007. There were dozens of posts, scans of the fake birth certificate, old newspaper clippings about Sarah's disappearance, pictures of Sarah that Madison must have found online, and most damning of all, a recent photo of Madison herself, with our house visible in the background. She had tagged the location as Portland, Oregon. A message notification popped up on her screen from someone named Truth Seeker. Robert, I can help you find out what really happened to your mother. Meet me at Pioneer Square tomorrow at noon. My legs gave out beneath me, and I collapsed into Madison's desk chair. Robert had found her. After all these years of hiding, of looking over my shoulder, of jumping at shadows, he had found us through a teenage girl's desperate search for identity, and Madison had no idea she was walking into a trap. I called her cell phone, my hands shaking so badly I could hardly dial. It went straight to voicemail. "Madison, listen to me," I pleaded after the beep. "You're in danger. The man contacting you online, that's Robert Campbell. He's dangerous. Please come home. Please call me back. Please." I hung up and immediately called again, and again, and again. Each time, straight to voicemail. Where would she go? It was nearly 1 a.m. She had no car. Her best friend Amber lived just a few blocks away. Maybe she'd gone there. I was about to call Amber's parents when I heard the front door open downstairs. Relief flooded through me as I ran down to meet her, but it wasn't Madison at the door. "Hello, Catherine," said Detective Michael Reeves, the same detective who had questioned me about Sarah's death 17 years ago. He looked older now, gray at the temples, lines etched deeper around his eyes, but the cold determination in his gaze hadn't changed. "Or do you go by Kate now?" Behind him stood 2 Portland police officers, their expressions grim. "Where's my daughter?" I demanded, gripping the banister to keep from falling. "Your daughter?" Reeves raised an eyebrow. "You mean Sarah Campbell's daughter, the one you kidnapped after murdering her mother." "I didn't kill Sarah," I said automatically, the denial worn smooth from years of repetition in my mind. "And Madison is my daughter." "That's not what Madison thinks," Reeves said, stepping into my home uninvited. "She came into the Portland police station about 3 hours ago with quite a story. Birth certificates, newspaper clippings, and a lot of questions about a cold case from Millfield, Ohio." My heart sank. "Where is she now?" "She's safe," Reeves said, which wasn't an answer. "She's with family. I am her family." Robert Campbell might disagree with that assessment. The room tilted dangerously. "Robert is here, in Portland?" Reeves nodded. "Flew in this afternoon after Madison reached out to him. He's been searching for his daughter for 17 years, Mrs. Wilson. Or should I say, Mrs. Taylor? You've led us on quite a chase." "You don't understand," I whispered. "Robert is dangerous. He killed Sarah. He's the reason we've been hiding all these years." Reeves's expression hardened. "We have a witness who says you pushed Sarah Campbell down a flight of stairs when she was 8 months pregnant. We have evidence that you fled the state with her newborn daughter. And now we have DNA samples from both Madison and Robert Campbell that will tell us exactly who her biological father is." "DNA won't tell you who pushed Sarah," I said desperately. "It won't tell you about the years of abuse she suffered. It won't tell you how terrified she was when she found out she was pregnant." "No," Reeves agreed, "but it will tell us if you've been lying about being Madison's mother all these years." "I am her mother," I insisted. "I carried her for 9 months. I gave birth to her. As a surrogate, according to our records," Reeves countered. "The agreement you signed gave full parental rights to Sarah and Robert Campbell." I shook my head violently. "That agreement was voided when Robert became abusive. Sarah and I had a new agreement. She asked me to protect Madison. She made me promise." "Do you have documentation of this new agreement?" Of course I didn't. Everything had happened so quickly in those final days. Sarah's desperate plan to escape, the confrontation with Robert, the emergency C-section. There had been no time for legal papers. No witnesses except a dying woman and a terrified friend. "I need you to come with me to the station, Mrs. Taylor," Reeves said, his tone softening slightly. "We have a lot to discuss about what happened 17 years ago." "I'm not going anywhere until I see Madison," I insisted. "I need to know she's safe." "She's with her father," Reeves said firmly. "James is her father. The DNA test will determine that." "You don't understand," I pleaded. "Robert is manipulating her. He's dangerous. Please just let me talk to her." Reeves hesitated, then sighed. "Madison has requested not to see you until the DNA results come back. She's confused right now. She feels betrayed." The pain in my chest was physical, as if someone had reached in and squeezed my heart. My daughter, my beautiful, brilliant daughter, thought I had stolen her, thought I had killed her mother, thought her entire life was a lie, and in many ways it was, just not the lie she believed. "When will the results be back?" I asked, my voice hollow. "Expedited testing. 48 hours. 48 hours. 2 days in which Madison would be with the man who had terrorized Sarah for years. The man who had caused her death. The man who had been hunting us for 17 years. Detective Reeves, I said, forcing my voice to remain steady. When those results come back, they're going to show that I am Madison's biological mother. And when they do, I want your word that you will listen to the whole story. The real story, not Robert Campbell's version. Reeves studied me for a long moment. If that's the case, then yes, I'll listen. But Catherine, if the results show otherwise, if they confirm what we've believed for 17 years, you're going to be facing kidnapping charges, and we're going to reopen the murder investigation. I understand, I said, though the thought made me dizzy with fear. But please, in the meantime, keep a close eye on Madison and Robert. Don't leave them alone together. You really expect me to believe he's dangerous? After he spent 17 years searching for his daughter? Obsession isn't love, I said quietly. And Robert Campbell has always been very, very good at making people believe what he wants them to believe. I didn't sleep that night. How could I, knowing Madison was with Robert? I called James repeatedly until he finally answered at 4 a.m., his voice groggy with sleep. Kate, what's wrong? You need to come home, I told him, my voice breaking. They found us, James. Robert found Madison. There was a moment of stunned silence before he whispered, I'm on my way. While waiting for James, I dug out the old photo album we'd hidden in the attic. It was dusty, the leather cover cracked with age. I hadn't looked at these pictures in years. It had been too painful, too dangerous, but now they were perhaps the only evidence of the truth. I flipped through pages of memories. Sarah and me as children, gap-toothed and grinning in elementary school, awkward teenagers at our first dance, young women in our caps and gowns at graduation, and later, Sarah in her wedding dress, her smile not quite reaching her eyes, me at my own wedding to James, radiant and hopeful, and finally, the last photos of Sarah, her pregnant belly swollen, her face thin and worried despite her attempt to smile. I remembered the day that last photo was taken. It was 4 months before Madison was born. Sarah had come to my house, bruises on her wrists carefully concealed by long sleeves despite the summer heat. He found the prenatal vitamins, she'd whispered, hands trembling as I made her tea. I told him they were just regular vitamins, but he didn't believe me. He knows I'm pregnant, Katie. Did he hurt you? I had asked, already knowing the answer. She'd pulled up her sleeve, revealing fingerprints bruised into her skin. He said if I ever tried to leave him, he'd find me. He said a child belongs with its father. Sarah, we need to call the police. She'd shaken her head violently. No, you don't understand. His brother is a cop. His uncle is a judge. No one in Millfield will believe me over him. It was true. The Campbells were an institution in our small town. Old money, old connections, old secrets everyone pretended not to see. Then we'll leave, I had told her, taking her hands in mine. You, me, and James. We'll go somewhere he can't find us. What about your job? Your house? Your life here? None of that matters, I'd said fiercely. All that matters is keeping you and the baby safe. The baby. My baby. Growing inside my best friend's body because I had wanted to help her when she couldn't conceive. Because surrogacy had seemed like such a beautiful gift at the time, before we knew what kind of man Robert really was. The day Sarah discovered she was pregnant should have been joyous. We had tried for nearly a year. Multiple rounds of IVF using my eggs and Robert's sperm, implanted in Sarah's womb. The irony was bitter. I had given Sarah a baby she no longer wanted with a man she had grown to fear, while I had given up my own biological child to a woman I loved like a sister. But as Sarah's pregnancy progressed and Robert's behavior worsened, our priorities shifted. No longer were we concerned with legal agreements or biological connections. We were focused on survival. Promise me, Sarah had made me swear, as we sat in my kitchen that summer day. Promise me that if anything happens to me, you won't let Robert raise this baby. Promise me you'll keep her safe. I promise. I'd whispered, and I had meant it with every fiber of my being. 2 months later, Sarah called me in the middle of the night, her voice frantic. He knows. She'd sobbed into the phone. He found our plane tickets. He's going to kill me, Katie. I can hear him breaking things downstairs. Lock the bedroom door, I instructed, already pulling on clothes, James awake and alert beside me. I'll be there in 5 minutes. We'll get you out tonight. Please hurry, she begged, and then the line went dead. I arrived at Sarah's house 3 minutes later. The front door was open, lights blazing inside. I could hear shouting, the crash of breaking glass. I ran up the stairs, calling Sarah's name. I found her at the bottom of the staircase, unconscious, blood pooling beneath her head. Robert stood at the top of the stairs, his face contorted with rage. "This is your fault," he'd snarled. "You turned her against me. You convinced her to take my child. She's hurt. We need an ambulance," I'd screamed, kneeling beside Sarah, checking for a pulse. It was there, but faint. "She fell," Robert said, his voice suddenly calm, reasonable. "She was trying to leave me, and she fell." But I had seen the bruise blooming on Sarah's cheek. I had seen the way Robert's hands were clenched into fists. "You pushed her," I whispered. His eyes had narrowed. "Prove it." The ambulance arrived minutes later, followed by the police. Officer Campbell, Robert's brother, among them. Robert told them Sarah had been acting erratically for weeks, that I had been encouraging her delusions, that she had packed a bag and tried to leave in the night, slipping on the stairs in her haste. Catherine was trying to help her leave me, he told his brother, tears in his eyes. "She's obsessed with our baby. She couldn't have children of her own, so she wanted to steal mine." It was the perfect lie, with just enough truth woven through it to be believable. Yes, I couldn't have children. A complication from the egg retrieval for Sarah's IVF had left me unable to conceive. Yes, I had been helping Sarah plan to leave. Yes, I had been at the house that night. But Robert had twisted it all, painting me as an unstable, jealous friend. And his family, his powerful, connected family, had believed him without question. At the hospital, the doctors performed an emergency C-section. Madison was born small but healthy, a miracle amid the tragedy. Sarah regained consciousness briefly after the surgery. I was with her, having refused to leave despite Robert's attempts to have me removed. "Katie," she'd whispered, her voice so faint I had to lean close to hear her. "Take her. Take our daughter and run. Don't let him find you. Sarah, you're going to be okay," I'd insisted, tears streaming down my face. "You're going to get better, and we'll both protect her." She'd gripped my hand with surprising strength. "Promise me, you'll never stop looking. Promise me you'll disappear." "I promise," I'd said again, and those were the last words Sarah ever heard. She died an hour later from a brain hemorrhage. By morning, her body had vanished from the hospital morgue. By evening, Robert Campbell had filed a police report claiming I had stolen his newborn daughter, but I was already gone. James had taken Madison directly from the hospital to a friend's house in Cincinnati. I had joined them the next day, and together, we had fled Ohio, our identities carefully erased and recreated through connections James had from his time in the military. We became the Taylors, Kate, James, and baby Madison. We moved from city to city for the first few years, never staying long enough to form attachments. But as time passed and the authorities seemed to lose interest in our case, we gradually settled in Portland, building a life filled with love, security, and as much honesty as we could offer without revealing the dangerous truth. And now, 17 years later, Robert Campbell had found us, had found Madison, had convinced her that I was a murderer who had stolen her from her real parents. The sound of a key in the lock jolted me from my memories. James rushed in, his face pale with worry. "Where is she?" he demanded, dropping his bag by the door. "With Robert," I said, the words like ashes in my mouth. "She found the birth certificate. She thinks I killed Sarah and kidnapped her." James pulled me into his arms, holding me tightly as I finally broke down, sobs racking my body. "We'll get her back," he promised fiercely. "We'll tell her the truth. All of it. She's smart, Kate. She'll understand. But what if the DNA test shows I'm her mother?" I whispered against his chest. "Robert will know I didn't just help Sarah escape. He'll know the baby was always mine." James pulled back to look at me, his expression grim. "Then we'll deal with that too. But first, we need to get Madison away from him." The Portland Police Department was a modern glass and concrete building downtown, its lobby cool and impersonal under fluorescent lights. James and I sat side by side on uncomfortable plastic chairs, waiting for Detective Reeves. We had been there for almost 2 hours, our request to see Madison repeatedly denied. "She doesn't want to see you," the front desk officer had told us for the 3rd time. "Detective Reeves will be with you when he's available." My phone buzzed with a text message. Unknown number again. "She has your eyes. I should have noticed that 17 years ago." My hands trembled as I showed the message to James. Robert was taunting me. He knew. Somehow, he had figured out the truth, before the DNA results were even back. "We need to get her away from him," James muttered, his jaw clenched tight. Now, the elevator doors opened, and Detective Reeves stepped out, accompanied by a woman in a dark suit I didn't recognize. "Mr. and Mrs. Taylor," Reeves greeted us formally. "Thank you for your patience. This is District Attorney Ellen Morris from Ohio. She's been involved with the Campbell case since the beginning." Morris sized us up with cold clinical interest. 17 years is a long time to run from the law, Mrs. Wilson. Or Taylor, I should say. You've led us on quite a chase. I wasn't running from the law, I insisted. I was running from Robert Campbell. Morris's eyebrow arched. "The grieving husband whose wife you allegedly killed and whose baby you kidnapped? Yes, I can see why you might want to avoid him." "You don't understand," James interjected, his voice tight with anger. "Robert Campbell is dangerous. He abused Sarah for years. He caused her death, and now our daughter is with him. DNA results will determine whose daughter she is," Morris replied smoothly. "We should have preliminary findings later today. In the meantime, Madison has expressed a desire to spend time with Mr. Campbell. He is, after all, potentially her biological father." "Where are they?" I demanded. "Mr. Campbell has taken Madison to lunch," Reeves said. "They're getting acquainted." "Alone?" I gasped. "You let them go alone?" "Mrs. Taylor, despite your allegations, we have no evidence that Mr. Campbell poses any threat to Madison. He has no criminal record, a respected position in his community, and has spent 17 years searching for his daughter. His dedication speaks volumes. His obsession," I corrected. "Robert doesn't care about Madison. He cares about possessing her, about winning." Morris consulted her tablet. "According to my files, you were Sarah Campbell's surrogate. You carried a child created from her husband's sperm and your egg, with the legal understanding that the child would belong to the Campbells. Is this correct?" I hesitated, glancing at James. We had maintained our cover story for so long that the truth felt dangerous on my tongue. "The original agreement, yes," I finally said, "but circumstances changed." "How so?" "Sarah discovered Robert was abusive. She feared for her life and the baby's safety. We made a new arrangement." "Do you have documentation of this new arrangement?" "No," I admitted. "It was informal." Morris smiled thinly. "Convenient. Sarah died before we could formalize anything," I explained desperately. "She asked me to protect Madison from Robert. That's why we ran." "She asked you this while suffering from a traumatic brain injury that you allegedly caused by pushing her down a flight of stairs." "I didn't push her," I cried, rising from my chair. "Robert did. He was abusing her. There were hospital records of her previous injuries. Broken ribs, a dislocated shoulder, a concussion. Check the records." "We did," Morris said calmly. "All those injuries were documented as accidents. Sarah Campbell was, by all accounts, quite clumsy. The classic excuse of abusers everywhere." I felt sick. "What about the missing body?" James asked. "Don't you find it suspicious that Sarah's body disappeared from the morgue the same night she died? The same night Robert's brother was on duty at the hospital?" Morris and Reeves exchanged glances. The body's disappearance was indeed troubling, Morris conceded. But with no evidence of foul play and no body to examine, we couldn't pursue that angle of the investigation. "Convenient for Robert," I muttered. "Mrs. Taylor," Reeves said, his tone softening slightly, "I understand you believe you were protecting Madison, but you have to understand how this looks from our perspective. You fled with a newborn that, according to all legal documentation, belonged to the Campbells. You changed your names, created false identities, and hid for 17 years. These are not the actions of an innocent person. They're the actions of a terrified mother," I countered. "I made a promise to Sarah. I kept it the only way I knew how." The elevator doors opened again, and my heart stopped. Robert Campbell stood there, his arm around Madison's shoulders. She looked small beside him, her eyes red-rimmed from crying. She wouldn't meet my gaze. Robert had aged well, silver threading through his dark hair, his face still handsome in that polished country club way. He wore an expensive suit and a sympathetic expression that made my blood boil. "Catherine," he greeted me, as if we were old friends meeting at a reunion. "It's been a long time." "Not long enough," I replied, my voice ice. "Madison, are you okay?" She finally looked at me, her green eyes, my eyes, filled with confusion and hurt. "Why did you lie to me?" my whole life. I didn't lie about being your mother, I said firmly. I am your mother, in every way that matters. But Sarah was my best friend. I finished for her, and she would be heartbroken to see you with him. Robert's smile never wavered, but his eyes hardened. Madison and I have had a lovely lunch getting to know each other. I've been telling her about her mother, her real mother, about how much Sarah was looking forward to her birth, about the nursery we had prepared. Did you tell her about the bruises? I asked quietly. About how Sarah wore long sleeves in summer to hide the marks you left on her? Catherine has always had a vivid imagination, Robert said to Madison, giving her shoulder a squeeze. It was one of the reasons Sarah was concerned about her being your surrogate. She worried Catherine was becoming too attached, that she couldn't separate fantasy from reality. That's not true, I protested. Sarah was my best friend. She trusted me. She trusted you to carry her child, Robert corrected. Not to steal her and disappear for 17 years. I didn't steal anyone, I insisted. Madison is my biological daughter. The room went silent. Madison's eyes widened. What? She whispered. Robert's smile finally faltered. Catherine, these desperate lies won't help your case. It's not a lie, I said, gaining confidence. The DNA test will prove it. I'm not just the surrogate. I'm your biological mother, Madison, and James is your biological father. That's impossible, Robert said dismissively. The IVF procedure used my sperm. No, James spoke up. It didn't. Sarah knew what kind of man you were long before she agreed to the surrogacy. She made sure it was my sperm that was used, not yours. You're lying, Robert snarled, his mask of civility slipping for the first time. The doctor who performed the procedure will confirm it, I said. Dr. Elena Vargas. She's still practicing in Cincinnati. Madison pulled away from Robert's grip. I don't understand. If you're my biological mother, and Dad is my biological father, then why was there a surrogacy at all? Why was Sarah carrying me? Because I couldn't carry a pregnancy to term, I explained gently. We tried for years before turning to surrogacy. Sarah offered to be our surrogate because she was my best friend, because she loved us. And the birth certificate with Sarah's name. A forgery, James said, created by Robert to give him a legal claim to you. Madison turned to Robert, uncertainty in her eyes. Is this true? Of course not, Robert insisted, reaching for her arm again. They're desperate, Madison. They know they're about to lose you. They know I'm your real father. Madison flinched away from his touch. For the first time, I saw a flicker of doubt in her expression. The DNA test will show the truth, Morris interjected. Until then, perhaps we should all take a step back. I agree, Reeves said. Madison, given the circumstances, I think it would be best if you stayed with a neutral third party until the results come back. She can stay with me, Robert insisted. I've waited 17 years to be with my daughter. I won't be separated from her now. She's not your daughter, I said, my voice breaking. She never was. And if you touch her again, I'll kill you. The words hung in the air, a threat I hadn't meant to voice aloud. Robert's eyes gleamed with triumph. You see, detective? He said smoothly. Violent tendencies, just like 17 years ago. Mrs. Taylor? Reeves said sharply. That was inappropriate. I'm sorry, I whispered, tears streaming down my face. But please don't let him take her. Not again. Madison stood between us, looking lost and overwhelmed. For a moment, I saw the little girl she had once been, the toddler who had run to me with skinned knees, the child who had crawled into our bed during thunderstorms, the teenager who had rolled her eyes at my worrying but accepted my hugs anyway. I want to go home, she said suddenly, her voice small but determined. Robert smiled. Of course, sweetheart. We'll go back to the hotel and... No, Madison interrupted, turning to face him fully. I meant my home. With them. Robert's face darkened. Madison, you don't understand. These people kidnapped you. They've been lying to you your entire life. Maybe, she acknowledged, but they're the only parents I've ever known. And until the DNA test proves otherwise, that's where I want to be. Detective, Robert appealed to Reeves. You can't possibly allow this. They're flight risks. They've been running for 17 years. Reeves considered for a moment. Mr. Campbell, Madison is 17 years old. While not legally an adult, her preferences carry significant weight. And Mrs. Taylor does make a compelling point about your history with Sarah. This is outrageous, Robert sputtered. I'll call my lawyer. I'll get a court order." "You do that," Reeves replied calmly. "In the meantime, we'll place an officer outside the Taylor's residence to ensure no one leaves town before the DNA results come back." Madison walked slowly toward us, stopping just out of reach. "I still don't know what to believe," she said quietly, "but I want to go home." I nodded, afraid to speak, afraid to reach for her and have her pull away. James put his arm around my shoulders, steadying me. "We'll talk when we get home," he promised Madison. "The whole truth, everything you want to know." As we turned to leave, Robert called out, his voice hard with fury. "This isn't over, Catherine. It's never been over." I looked back at him, at the man who had haunted my nightmares for 17 years, and felt a chill run down my spine. "No," I agreed softly, "but it will be soon." The drive home was silent. Madison sat in the back seat, as far from us as the car would allow, staring out the window. James drove, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. I watched raindrops race down the passenger window, trying to organize my thoughts, to find the words that would make our daughter understand. Officer Parkman followed in a patrol car, as promised. Our police escort, our warden. A visible reminder that we were still suspects in a 17-year-old crime. When we arrived home, Madison went straight to her room. James and I sat at the kitchen table, our hands wrapped around mugs of untouched coffee. "What do we tell her?" I whispered. "Everything," James replied simply. "The whole truth. No more secrets. And if she hates us for it?" He covered my hand with his. "She won't. She's hurt and confused, but she's smart. She'll understand why we did what we did. Robert won't stop," I said, voicing the fear that had been growing since we'd left the police station. "He never has. If the DNA test proves Madison is ours, he'll find another way to hurt us. We'll deal with that when it comes," James assured me. "Right now, our priority is Madison." I nodded, gathering my courage. "I'll go talk to her." Madison's bedroom door was closed, but not locked. I knocked softly. "Madison, can we talk?" There was a long pause before she answered. "Come in." She was sitting cross-legged on her bed, surrounded by photo albums, the ones from our living room bookshelf, filled with images of her childhood, birthdays, Christmases, family vacations, a documented life of love and normalcy that now felt like a carefully constructed lie. "You kept so many pictures," she said, not looking up. "If you were running from the law, wouldn't that be dangerous?" I sat carefully on the edge of her bed. "We weren't running from the law, Madison. We were running from Robert. Because he abused Sarah? Yes. And because he would have abused you too." She finally looked at me, her eyes red-rimmed but clear. "How do I know you're telling the truth about any of this?" "The DNA test will prove I'm your biological mother," I said gently. "But being your mother has never been about biology for me. It's been about loving you, raising you, protecting you. Whether I carried you in my womb or Sarah did, that doesn't change who we are to each other." Madison traced the outline of a photo, her 5th birthday, her face smeared with chocolate cake, James and I laughing beside her. "If you're my real mom, and Dad is my real dad, why did you need Sarah as a surrogate?" she asked. I took a deep breath. This was the part of the story we had never planned to tell her, at least not until she was much older. "I had endometriosis," I explained. "When I was 25, I had to have an emergency surgery that left me unable to carry a pregnancy, but they were able to preserve some of my eggs. And Sarah offered to be your surrogate?" I nodded. "She was my best friend. She wanted us to have a baby more than anything. So we created embryos using my eggs and your father's sperm, and one was implanted in Sarah. But she was married to Robert," Madison pointed out. "Why would he agree to that?" "He didn't know," I admitted. "Sarah told him it was his sperm that was used. He had been abusing her for years by then, controlling her, isolating her. She was afraid of what he would do if she couldn't give him a child." Madison's brow furrowed. "So she lied to him? To protect herself? To protect you?" I hesitated, then decided Madison deserved the whole truth. Robert wanted a child, but not because he wanted to be a father. He wanted another way to control Sarah, a way to ensure she could never leave him. And when she tried to leave anyway, he caught her packing. They fought. He pushed her down the stairs. The memory still had the power to make me sick with grief and rage. By the time I got there, she was unconscious. We called an ambulance, but her injuries were too severe. The doctors performed an emergency C-section to save you. "And Sarah died," Madison whispered. I nodded, tears filling my eyes. Her last words were a plea for me to take you and run, to keep you safe from Robert. She knew he would never stop looking for you, not because he loved you, but because you were something that belonged to him, something he believed was his. But I wasn't his, Madison said slowly. I was yours and Dad's all along. Yes, but Robert didn't know that. He believed you were his biological daughter, and he used his connections. His brother was a police officer, his uncle a judge, to paint me as an obsessed friend who killed Sarah to steal her baby. Madison was silent for a long time, processing this information. Finally, she asked, "Why didn't you just tell the police the truth, that you were my biological mother?" "Because it wouldn't have mattered," James said from the doorway, where he had been listening quietly. Robert had already established himself as the grieving husband. Catherine was the prime suspect in Sarah's death, and without Sarah's body, which mysteriously disappeared from the morgue, we couldn't prove that Robert had pushed her. Plus, the original surrogacy agreement gave Sarah and Robert full parental rights, I added. Even if I could prove I was your biological mother, legally, you still belong to them, to him. So you ran, Madison concluded. We ran, I confirmed. We changed our names, moved across the country, and built a new life, a safe life, for you. Madison's fingers traced the edge of another photograph, her first day of kindergarten, her backpack nearly as big as she was. All these years, she said softly, you've been looking over your shoulder, afraid he would find us. I nodded. At first we moved every few months, but as years passed and no one seemed to be looking for us anymore, we allowed ourselves to settle, to put down roots. Maybe that was a mistake. No, Madison said firmly, surprising me. It wasn't. This is our home. This is my life. He doesn't get to take that away. I felt a glimmer of hope at the word our. Madison, I am so sorry we kept the truth from you. We thought we were protecting you. You were, she said. I understand that now. But, she hesitated, vulnerability in her eyes. Why did you keep that box? The one with the birth certificate and the hospital bracelet. If it was so dangerous. James came to sit beside me on the bed. Those were the only connections we had to Sarah, he explained gently. To the woman who gave her life for you. We couldn't bear to destroy them completely. I should have been more careful, I added, regret washing over me. I should have known a curious teenager would eventually find a hidden box. Madison's lips quirked in a ghost of a smile. It was under a loose floorboard in your closet, pretty much screaming secret to anyone who noticed it. I laughed softly, despite myself. Not my most clever hiding place. Madison's smile faded. When I found those papers, I thought my whole life had been a lie, that you had stolen me. I'm sorry you had to find out that way, I said sincerely. We always planned to tell you the truth when you were older, when Robert couldn't use the legal system to take you away from us anymore. And now? Now we wait for the DNA test to prove what we've always known, James said, that you are our daughter, that you always have been. And Robert? Madison asked, fear creeping into her voice for the first time. What if he doesn't accept the results? I exchanged a glance with James. We had both been wondering the same thing. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, I said, trying to sound more confident than I felt. The important thing is that you're safe, that we're together. Madison looked down at the photos spread across her bed. A lifetime of memories, of love, of family. I called him, she admitted quietly. When I found the papers, I looked him up online and found his number. I told him who I was and what I'd discovered. My blood ran cold. What did he say? He said he'd been looking for me for 17 years, that he never gave up hope of finding his daughter. Her voice wavered. He sounded so sincere, so heartbroken. He offered to fly out immediately. And you believed him, I said. Not a question, but a statement of understanding. Madison nodded. Why wouldn't I? As far as I knew, you had kidnapped me from my real parents. You had lied to me my entire life. She looked up, her eyes swimming with tears. I was so angry. I wanted to hurt you the way I was hurting. Oh, Madison, I whispered, my heart breaking for her. I understand. But then at the police station, she continued, something felt wrong. The way he talked about me, about Sarah. It was all possessive. My daughter, my wife. And the way he looked at you, it was like he was enjoying your pain. A chill ran down my spine. Robert had always been a master manipulator, charming and persuasive to everyone except those he controlled behind closed doors. You saw through him, James said, pride in his voice. That's my girl. Madison wiped away a tear. I'm still confused. I'm still hurt. But I know one thing for sure. I belong here, with you. Whatever happens with the DNA test, whatever Robert tries to do next, this is my home. You are my parents. I wanted to reach for her, to pull her into my arms as I had done 1,000 times before, but I held back, unsure if she was ready for that. But then Madison moved, sliding across the bed to wrap her arms around me, her head nestling against my shoulder, just as it had when she was small. I held her tightly, tears flowing freely now, my heart overflowing with relief and love. James enfolded us both in his embrace, and for a moment, the world outside, with its police officers and DNA tests and vengeful men, ceased to exist. We were just a family, holding each other through a storm. What happens next? Madison asked eventually, her voice muffled against my shoulder. The DNA results should be back tomorrow, I said. Once they confirm that you're our biological daughter, the kidnapping charges will be dropped. But Robert still might try to claim I murdered Sarah, I finished when James hesitated. Madison pulled back, wiping her eyes. Without her body, how can they prove anything? They can't, James assured her. It's been 17 years. There's no physical evidence left. Just Robert's word against ours, I added. And once the DNA test discredits his claim about being your father, his credibility will be severely damaged. Madison nodded, her expression shifting from vulnerability to something harder, more determined. I want to help, she said firmly. I want to help prove he's lying, that he's the one who killed Sarah. I brushed her hair back from her face, seeing in her the same fierce protectiveness I had seen in Sarah all those years ago. We'll do this together, I promised. No more secrets, no more running. It's time we fought back. That evening, we ordered pizza and spread our evidence across the dining room table. Old photos, letters from Sarah that I had kept hidden for years, newspaper clippings about her disappearance. Officer Parkman remained outside, visible through our front window as he sat in his patrol car. A reminder that we were still not free. Madison studied a photo of Sarah, tracing her features with a fingertip. She was beautiful. Yes, I agreed softly. And kind. And braver than anyone I've ever known. Except you, Madison said, surprising me. You gave up everything to keep your promise to her. To protect me. It wasn't a sacrifice, I told her honestly. It was the easiest decision I ever made. James spread out the newspaper articles about Sarah's disappearance. The headlines were sensationalist. Pregnant woman disappears from hospital. Baby missing. Mother presumed dead. Friend suspected in tragic disappearance. They never found her body, Madison noted, reading through the articles. No, I confirmed. Robert made sure of that. Why would he hide her body? Wouldn't it have been better for him to let them find her? To strengthen his claim that you killed her? James and I exchanged glances. It was a question we had asked ourselves many times over the years. We think he was afraid an autopsy would reveal the extent of her injuries, James explained. Not just from the fall, but from the ongoing abuse. And possibly evidence that he was the one who pushed her, I added. There might have been bruises from his hands, skin under her fingernails if she fought back. Madison considered this, her analytical mind, so like her father's, working through the implications. So, without a body, there's no proof that either of you killed her, she reasoned. It's just his word against yours. Exactly, I nodded. But Robert had the advantage of powerful family connections and the fact that I fled with you. It made me look guilty. We need to find out what happened to her body, Madison said firmly. Madison, it's been 17 years, James said gently. Even if we could somehow trace what Robert did with Sarah's body, any forensic evidence would be long gone. Maybe, she conceded. But what about witnesses? Someone must have helped him move her body from the morgue. Someone must have seen something. I had never considered this angle before. We had been so focused on running, on staying hidden, that we hadn't thought about building a case against Robert. His brother, I said slowly. Michael Campbell was on duty at the hospital that night. He would have had access to the morgue. Can we talk to him? Madison asked. James shook his head. Michael died about 10 years ago. Car accident. Convenient, Madison muttered. Very, I agreed. But there might be others. Nurses, orderlies, security guards who were working that night. After 17 years, how would we even find them? James asked. Madison grabbed her laptop. Social media, hospital staff groups, local community forums. Someone from that night might still be around, might still remember. Her fingers flew over the keyboard, her face set with determination. I watched her with a mixture of pride and concern. This was my daughter, resourceful, tenacious, unwilling to back down when faced with injustice. But I was also afraid for her, afraid of what Robert might do if he felt cornered. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Robert again. The DNA results won't save you, Catherine. I've waited 17 years for this. I won't wait any longer. A chill ran down my spine. I showed the message to James, who immediately stood and checked that all our doors and windows were locked. Should we show this to Officer Parkman? Madison asked, reading the text over my shoulder. It's not an explicit threat, James pointed out. Robert's too careful for that. But it's clearly meant to intimidate, I said. We should document it at least. I forwarded the message to Detective Reeves with a brief explanation, then returned to the dining table where Madison was deep into her online search. Look at this, she said, turning her laptop screen toward us. I found a Facebook group for former staff of Millfield General Hospital. There's a post from someone named Diane Wheeler asking if anyone remembers the Sarah Campbell incident from 2007. When was this posted? I asked, leaning closer. 3 years ago, Madison replied. There are a lot of comments. Most people say they heard about it but weren't working that night. But this one, she pointed to a comment from a user named Thomas Grant. He says he was a security guard on the night shift when that poor woman's body disappeared. Says he always thought it was suspicious but was told to keep quiet about what he saw. My heart raced. Can you contact him? Madison clicked through to Thomas Grant's profile. He still lives in Millfield. Works as a bus driver now. She hesitated, then looked up at us. I'm going to message him. Madison, James began, concern in his voice. Dad, this could be our chance to finally prove what happened. She interrupted. To clear Mom's name. Mom. She had called me Mom again, not Catherine. The simple word nearly brought me to tears. Be careful what you say, I cautioned. We don't know if this person is trustworthy. He could tell Robert we've been asking questions. Madison nodded, composing a careful message. Hello, Mr. Grant. I'm researching a paper on unsolved mysteries in Ohio and came across the Sarah Campbell case. I saw your comment about working as a security guard that night. Would you be willing to share what you remember? Thank you. Smart, James approved. Casual, academic interest. Nothing suspicious. Now we wait, Madison said, closing her laptop. But we should have a backup plan too. If the DNA test comes back tomorrow proving I'm your biological daughter, what's to stop Robert from just taking me? Officer Parkman can't stay outside forever. The thought had been haunting me as well. Robert had spent 17 years searching for Madison. He wouldn't give up easily, even if the DNA proved she wasn't his daughter. We should talk to Detective Reeves, I suggested. If the DNA proves you're our daughter, we should be able to get a restraining order against Robert. And if that doesn't work, Madison pressed. If he comes after us anyway, James's expression hardened. Then we'll do whatever it takes to protect our family. We've done it before. Madison's laptop chimed with a notification. She opened it quickly. It's him. Thomas Grant responded already. She read the message aloud. Not comfortable discussing this over messages. Too many eyes watching. If you're serious about your research, call me. My number is below. We stared at each other in silence for a moment. What do we do? Madison asked. We call him, I decided. But not from our phones. And not from here. James nodded in agreement. I'll go to the library tomorrow. Use a public computer. Make the call from there. I want to go too, Madison insisted. It's too dangerous, I objected. Robert is still in Portland. If he sees you, I'll be with Dad, she countered. And Officer Parkman can follow us. Please, Mom. I need to do this. For Sarah. For you. For all of us. I wanted to protect her. To keep her safe at home where Robert couldn't reach her. But looking at her determined face, I saw not just my daughter, but Sarah's goddaughter as well. Sarah, who had been brave enough to try to leave an abusive husband, to protect the child she carried. I couldn't dishonor that bravery by teaching Madison to hide. Okay, I conceded, but you stay with your father every second. You don't wander off, not even to use the bathroom. I promise, Madison said solemnly. My phone rang. Detective Reeves. Mrs. Taylor. He greeted me. his voice formal but less cold than before. "I wanted to let you know that the DNA results have been expedited. We should have them by 9 a.m. tomorrow. I'd like all parties to be at the station at that time." "All parties meaning Robert Campbell," I clarified. "Yes, he has a right to be present when the results are disclosed." "Detective, I'm concerned about my family's safety," I said bluntly. "Robert has been sending me threatening text messages." There was a pause. "I received your forwarded message, Mrs. Taylor. While I understand your concern, that text doesn't constitute an explicit threat under Oregon law. He's dangerous, Detective. He killed Sarah. He'll hurt Madison if he gets the chance." Reeves sighed. "Mrs. Taylor, without evidence, I can't take action against Mr. Campbell. However, I can assure you that there will be security present at tomorrow's meeting. No one will be allowed to leave with Madison except her legal guardians, as determined by the DNA results." It wasn't enough, but it was something. "Thank you, Detective," I said. "We'll be there at 9. After I hung up, Madison looked at me with worried eyes. "What if the test isn't conclusive? What if there's some mistake?" "There won't be," James assured her. "DNA doesn't lie. But people do," she pointed out. "What if Robert has somehow tampered with the results?" It wasn't outside the realm of possibility. Robert had connections, money, influence, but surely not enough to falsify a DNA test conducted by the Portland Police Department. "We have to trust the science," I said, though doubt gnawed at me. "And if for some reason the results don't show the truth, we'll demand another test." Madison nodded, but I could see she wasn't entirely convinced. Neither was I. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. "Look outside." I froze, then rushed to the front window. Officer Parkman's patrol car was still there, but he wasn't in it. And parked across the street, just visible under a streetlight, was a black SUV with tinted windows. "James?" I called, my voice tight with fear. He joined me at the window, his body tensing as he spotted the vehicle. "Stay away from the windows," he instructed, pulling me back. "Madison, come here." Madison hurried to our side. "What's wrong?" "Robert's watching the house," James explained grimly. "Where's Officer Parkman?" As if in answer to his question, we heard a knock at our front door. James approached cautiously, checking through the peephole. "It's Parkman," he confirmed, opening the door. The officer looked apologetic. "Sorry to bother you folks, but I've been called away. There's an emergency downtown that requires all available units." "You're leaving?" I asked incredulously. "But what about—" I gestured discreetly toward the SUV across the street. Officer Parkman followed my gaze and frowned. "That vehicle? It's been there since before I arrived. Probably belongs to one of your neighbors." "It doesn't," Madison said firmly. "We know all our neighbors' cars. That one's new." Parkman hesitated. "Look, I'm sorry, but I have orders. If you're concerned, keep your doors locked and call 911 if you see anything suspicious. Another patrol will drive by every hour or so." With that, he left, climbing into his patrol car and driving away. We watched in disbelief as the last tangible protection we had disappeared down the street. "This isn't a coincidence," I whispered. "Robert must have connections in the Portland PD too. We need to get out of here," James decided. "Now, before he makes a move." "But the DNA results," I protested. "If we run now, before they're announced, we'll look guilty all over again." "Mom's right," Madison said, surprising me. "We can't run. Not this time. We need to face this head on." James looked torn. "If he comes for you, we'll be ready," Madison said, her voice steady. "I'm not afraid of him." But I was. I was terrified. Not for myself, but for my daughter, my husband, the family we had built. Robert had taken Sarah from me. I wouldn't let him take anything else. "We'll stay," I agreed reluctantly. "But we take precautions. No one sleeps alone tonight. We keep our phones charged and ready. And first thing tomorrow, we go to the library to call Thomas Grant. If he knows something about what happened to Sarah's body, that might be our only leverage against Robert." As I spoke, the black SUV across the street started its engine and pulled away slowly, headlights cutting through the darkness. A warning, a promise. Robert was watching. Robert was waiting. And tomorrow, one way or another, our 17 years of running would finally come to an end. None of us slept well that night. Madison camped out in our bedroom, on an air mattress next to our bed. Every creak of the house, every passing car had us on edge. By dawn, we were exhausted but alert, running on adrenaline and fear. "We have 3 hours before we need to be at the police station," James said, checking his watch as we gathered in the kitchen. If we're going to contact Thomas Grant, we need to do it now. Is it safe to leave the house? I worried, peering through the blinds at our quiet street. The black SUV was gone, but that didn't mean Robert wasn't watching. Safer than staying here, James pointed out. We're sitting ducks if he decides to come back. We drove to the Central Library downtown, taking a circuitous route to ensure we weren't followed. Madison sat in the back seat, her laptop open, preparing what she wanted to ask Thomas Grant. We need to focus on the night Sarah's body disappeared, she said. If he saw anything, anyone who shouldn't have been there, like Robert or his brother, I nodded. Exactly. That could be the evidence we need to reopen the investigation into her death, to shift the focus from you to Robert. The library was quiet on a weekday morning. We found a private study room in the back, away from curious eyes. James used the library phone to call the number Thomas Grant had provided. He answered on the third ring. Hello? Mr. Grant? This is regarding your comment about Sarah Campbell. My daughter messaged you last night about her research paper. There was a pause. This isn't about a research paper, is it? Thomas asked, his voice cautious. Who are you, really? James glanced at us, then made a decision. My name is James Taylor. My wife, Catherine, was Sarah Campbell's best friend. We've been in hiding for 17 years because Robert Campbell claimed my wife killed Sarah and stole their baby. We need to know what you saw that night. Another long pause. Catherine Wilson? The one they said pushed Sarah down the stairs? She didn't do it, Madison interjected, leaning toward the speakerphone. Robert did. He abused Sarah for years. He caused her death, and now he's trying to take me away from my parents. You're the baby? Thomas asked, surprise evident in his voice. All grown up now, I guess. Yes, Madison confirmed. Please, Mr. Grant, if you know something that could help us, we need to hear it. Thomas sighed heavily. Look, I don't know who pushed who. All I know is what I saw at the hospital that night. I was working security, doing my rounds in the basement where the morgue is located. Around 2 a.m., I saw Michael Campbell. He was a cop, but everyone knew he was Robert's brother, coming out of the morgue with 2 other men. They were carrying something wrapped in a tarp, something body-shaped. My breath caught. Sarah's body. That's what I figured, Thomas confirmed. I started to approach them, to ask what they were doing, but Michael saw me and intercepted me. Said it was official police business, that I should forget what I saw if I knew what was good for me. Did you report it? James asked. To who? Thomas scoffed. Michael was law enforcement. His uncle was Judge Campbell. The hospital administrator was Robert's golf buddy. I was a 23-year-old security guard with a newborn at home and rent to pay. I couldn't afford to make enemies of the Campbells. But you remember it, Madison pressed. You could testify to what you saw. After 17 years, with no evidence, against the word of a respected businessman like Robert Campbell, I'd be laughed out of court. Not if we can corroborate your story, I said, an idea forming. Not if we can find out where they took Sarah's body. How would you do that? Thomas asked skeptically. Michael Campbell is dead, James explained. But the other 2 men you saw, could you identify them if you saw their pictures? Maybe, Thomas said cautiously. It was a long time ago, but they were local guys. One of them worked at Campbell Construction. That was Robert's company. Don't remember his name, but he had a distinctive scar on his face right here. He presumably gestured to his own face, though we couldn't see him through the phone. And the other man? Madison prompted. Younger guy. I think he might have been another Campbell cousin or something. Dark hair, beard. I remember he was wearing a Millfield Miners jacket. That's our local baseball team. It wasn't much to go on, but it was something. Names we could research, faces we could try to identify. Mr. Grant, would you be willing to make a formal statement about what you saw? James asked. If we could get the case reopened? There was a long silence. I've got kids in college now, Thomas finally said. A mortgage, a life I've built, going against the Campbells, even after all these years. I understand, I said softly, but Robert is trying to take our daughter away. He's claiming I kidnapped her, that I killed Sarah. After 17 years of running, of looking over our shoulders, we just want it to end. We want justice for Sarah, and safety for our family, James added. Another pause. Let me think about it, Thomas finally said. Give me a number where I can reach you if I decide to help. James provided his cell phone number. Thank you for talking to us, Mr. Grant. It means more than you know. After we hung up, the three of us sat in silence, processing what we had learned. So Michael Campbell and 2 other men took Sarah's body from the morgue, Madison summarized. If we can identify those men, find out where they took her, we might finally have evidence against Robert, I finished. But we need to focus on today first. The DNA test results will be announced in less than 2 hours. What if Robert tries something at the police station? Madison asked, voicing the fear we all shared. He won't, James assured her. Not with witnesses, police officers all around. He's too careful for that. But after, I said quietly, when the results prove you're our daughter, when his claim to you is gone, that's when he'll be dangerous. Madison squared her shoulders. Then we need a plan. A way to protect ourselves and expose him at the same time. She opened her laptop and started typing rapidly. James and I exchanged surprised glances. What are you doing? I asked. Research, Madison replied, not looking up. Millfield newspaper archives. Property records for Robert Campbell. Employment records for Campbell Construction. If we can identify the men who helped move Sarah's body, we might be able to find out where they took her. I watched my daughter work, her face set with determination, and felt a surge of pride mingled with fear. She was so like Sarah in that moment, fearless in the face of danger, unwilling to back down when she knew she was right. I found something, Madison said suddenly. A newspaper article from 2007, just a week after Sarah disappeared. Campbell Construction broke ground on a new project, a shopping center on the outskirts of Millfield. The article mentions that Robert Campbell himself operated the excavator for the ceremonial first dig. A construction site, James said, understanding dawning. The perfect place to hide a body. No one would question fresh digging. And concrete being poured, I added, the horrifying realization making me nauseous. Madison continued scrolling through articles. The shopping center was completed 8 months later. It's called the Millfield Marketplace. Can you find construction photos? Maybe identify the men Thomas mentioned? James asked. Madison nodded, her fingers flying over the keyboard. Here's an article about the groundbreaking ceremony. There's Robert. And look, standing behind him. She pointed to a group of men in hard hats. This man has a scar on his cheek, just like Thomas described. I leaned closer to see. That's Victor Mercer. He was Robert's foreman. I met him at a company picnic once. Is he still in Millfield? James asked. Madison performed another search. Yes, looks like he still works for Campbell Construction. He's the site manager now. And the younger man? The one with the Millfield miner's jacket? I prompted. Madison scrolled through more images. I don't see anyone matching that description in the official photos, but let me check social media. She navigated to Facebook and searched for Victor Mercer. Here he is. And look at this photo from 2007. The image showed Victor at what appeared to be a job site, arms slung around a younger man with dark hair and a beard, both wearing Campbell Construction shirts. That could be him, I said excitedly. Who is he? Madison clicked on the tagged name. Brian Mercer, Victor's son. He worked for Campbell Construction from 2005 to 2010, then moved to Cincinnati. She scrolled through his profile. He doesn't seem to be in touch with the Campbells anymore. In fact, she clicked on a post from 3 years ago. Look at this. He wrote, "Some secrets weigh heavier with time. Some debts can never be repaid." That could be about anything, James cautioned. Yes, but it's worth exploring, I insisted. If Brian Mercer helped hide Sarah's body, he might be carrying that guilt. He might be willing to talk, especially if he's no longer under Robert's influence. Madison checked the time. We need to go soon. The DNA results will be revealed at 9. Let's take what we've found to Detective Reeves, I suggested, after the DNA results are announced. If they prove you're our daughter, as we know they will, we can ask him to reopen the investigation into Sarah's death based on this new information. But will it be enough? Madison worried. It's a start, James said firmly, more than we've had in 17 years. We gathered our things and left the library, heading for the police station. In the car, Madison continued her research on her phone, building our case piece by piece. I watched her in the rearview mirror, this incredible young woman who had gone from feeling betrayed by us to fighting alongside us in the span of 24 hours. I'm sorry, I said suddenly, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. I'm sorry we kept the truth from you for so long. I'm sorry you had to find out the way you did. Madison looked up, her expression softening. I understand why you did it. You were protecting me. You've always been protecting me. She reached forward and squeezed my shoulder. Now it's my turn to protect you. We arrived at the police station with 10 minutes to spare. As we walked through the entrance, I spotted Robert immediately, standing near the reception desk with District Attorney Morris. He smiled when he saw us, a cold, triumphant smile that sent shivers down my spine. "Catherine," he greeted me, as if we were old friends. "James, Madison, today's the day the truth finally comes out." "Yes," I agreed, meeting his gaze steadily. "It is." Detective Reeves appeared from a corridor, his expression unreadable. "The lab has just delivered the results," he announced. "If you'll all follow me to the conference room, we can discuss them privately." As we walked down the hallway, Robert fell into step beside Madison. "Whatever happens today," he said softly, "you should know that Sarah loved you very much. She would be proud of the young woman you've become." "Don't speak her name," Madison replied, her voice ice. "You don't have the right." Robert's smile faltered for a fraction of a second before he recovered. "You're very much like her, you know. She had that same fire." "The fire you tried to extinguish," Madison countered, "when you pushed her down those stairs." Robert's eyes hardened, but before he could respond, we reached the conference room. Inside, a manila envelope sat on the table, sealed with evidence tape. Detective Reeves picked it up, breaking the seal. "The DNA test was conducted by an independent laboratory," he explained. "The results have not been viewed by anyone until now." He withdrew a single sheet of paper and scanned it quickly. His expression changed, surprise flashing across his face before he controlled it. "According to these results," he said formally, "Madison Taylor's DNA indicates that her biological parents are Catherine Wilson Taylor and James Taylor. There is a 0% chance that Robert Campbell is her biological father." The room went silent. I felt dizzy with relief, my knees threatening to buckle beneath me. James gripped my hand tightly, his own relief palpable. Madison stood tall, her gaze fixed on Robert, whose face had drained of color. "That's impossible," he whispered. "There must be a mistake." "There's no mistake, Mr. Campbell," Reeves said firmly. "The test is conclusive. They tampered with the samples," Robert insisted, his voice rising. "They've been running for 17 years. They've been lying for 17 years. Why would they stop now?" "Because the truth was always on our side," I said quietly. "Madison is our daughter. She always has been." Robert's facade cracked, rage contorting his features. "You think this changes anything? You still took her from Millfield. You still ran. You still let everyone believe she was mine and Sarah's. Because you would have killed her otherwise," I replied, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "Just like you killed Sarah." "You have no proof of that," he snarled. "Not yet," Madison interjected, "but we're getting closer. Thomas Grant saw your brother and 2 other men removing Sarah's body from the morgue that night. Victor Mercer and his son Brian helped you hide her, didn't they? At the Millfield Marketplace construction site." Robert's face went completely white, confirming our suspicions more clearly than words ever could. "Detective Reeves," James said formally, "in light of these DNA results proving that my wife did not kidnap our daughter, and given this new information about Sarah Campbell's body, we would like to request that the Millfield Police Department reopen the investigation into her death." Reeves looked from Robert's pale, rigid face to our determined ones. "I'll contact Millfield PD today. If there's credible evidence that Sarah Campbell's body was hidden at that location, they can obtain a warrant to search the site." "This is ridiculous," Robert blustered, regaining some of his composure. "You're going to dig up a shopping center based on the word of a discredited security guard and a teenage girl's internet research. Ground-penetrating radar is non-invasive," Reeves replied mildly. "If there's nothing to find, Mr. Campbell, you have nothing to worry about." Robert's eyes darted around the room like a trapped animal's. "This is a witch hunt, a vendetta. Catherine has been poisoning Madison against me from the beginning." "Actually," Madison said coolly, "until 3 days ago, I didn't even know you existed. My mother protected me from that knowledge, just like she protected me from you." "She is not your mother," Robert shouted, losing control completely. "The DNA test says otherwise," Reeves reminded him firmly. "Mr. Campbell, I suggest you return to Ohio. There is no legal basis for you to remain in contact with the Taylor family. In fact, given these circumstances, they would be well within their rights to request a restraining order against you." Robert's eyes locked with mine, hatred burning in their depths. "This isn't over, Catherine," he said softly. It will never be over. Yes, it is, I replied, my voice stronger than I felt. You've lost, Robert. You lost 17 years ago when you killed Sarah. You lost when you failed to find us all these years. And you've lost today, when the truth finally came out. Go home. Leave us alone. Or the next headline won't be about a missing body. It will be about a murderer finally brought to justice. We were escorted home by a police officer, Detective Reeves having taken our concerns about Robert seriously after his outburst at the station. The house felt different somehow. Still our home, but with the weight of secrecy finally lifted from its walls. What happens now? Madison asked as we sat in the living room, the events of the morning still settling around us like dust. Detective Reeves will contact the Millfield Police Department, James explained. If they agree to reopen the investigation, they'll likely start with ground-penetrating radar at the shopping center site. And if they find her? Madison's voice was quiet, respectful of the gravity of what we were discussing. Then they'll exhume the remains, I said gently. Forensic science has advanced significantly in 17 years. They might be able to determine exactly how she died, whether there was evidence of ongoing abuse, perhaps even evidence of who pushed her. Madison nodded, processing this information. And Robert? What will he do now? It was the question that had been haunting me since we left the police station. Robert Campbell was not a man who accepted defeat gracefully. He had spent 17 years searching for Madison, driven by a combination of obsession and the need to control the narrative about Sarah's death. Now that the DNA test had proven Madison wasn't his daughter, what would he do? I don't know, I admitted. But we need to be careful, at least until he leaves Portland and returns to Ohio. As if summoned by our conversation, my phone rang with an unknown number. I hesitated, then answered on speaker. Catherine. Robert's voice was eerily calm. I think we should talk. We have nothing to talk about, I replied, signaling to James, who immediately began recording the conversation on his own phone. Oh, I disagree. We have 17 years to discuss. A lifetime of lies. A daughter you kept from me. She was never your daughter, Robert. The DNA test proved that. A technicality, he dismissed. I raised her for the first 9 months of her existence, while she grew inside Sarah. I painted her nursery. I bought her clothes. I prepared for her arrival with love and dedication. The revision of history was breathtaking in its audacity. Robert had barely acknowledged Sarah's pregnancy, except to use it as another means of control. That's not how Sarah remembered it, I said carefully. She was terrified of you, Robert. Terrified of what you would do to her and the baby. More lies. He sighed, as if disappointed in me. I loved Sarah. I would never have hurt her. Then, how did she fall down those stairs? Madison interjected, unable to stay silent. There was a pause. Madison, my dear girl, don't let Catherine poison you against me. Whatever she's told you about that night, I know what happened, Madison interrupted. You found out Sarah was planning to leave. You confronted her. You pushed her down the stairs. Then you had your brother remove her body from the morgue to hide evidence of your crime. Another longer pause. You sound very certain for someone who wasn't even born when these supposed events occurred. We have a witness, James said, joining the conversation. Thomas Grant saw your brother and 2 other men removing Sarah's body from the morgue that night, and we know where they took her. Thomas Grant, Robert repeated, his tone dismissive. A washed-up security guard with a drinking problem and a failing memory. Not exactly a star witness, but Victor and Brian Mercer might be, I countered. Especially Brian, who seems to have developed a conscience since leaving your employment. His social media suggests he's troubled by something in his past, something weighing on him, a secret debt that can never be repaid. This time, the silence stretched so long I thought Robert might have hung up. What do you want? He finally asked, his voice hard. We want you to confess, I said simply, to what you did to Sarah, to how you tried to frame me for her murder, to how you've hunted us for 17 years. He laughed, a cold, mirthless sound. And why would I do that? Because if you don't, James said, we'll make sure the Millfield Police Department excavates the foundation of the Millfield Marketplace. We'll make sure Brian Mercer is called to testify about what happened that night. We'll make sure everyone knows what kind of man Robert Campbell really is. You're bluffing, Robert said, but there was uncertainty in his voice now. You have no proof. Not yet, Madison agreed, but we will. And in the meantime, I'll be sharing my story online. about how Robert Campbell tried to claim me as his daughter, about how he stalked and threatened my family, about how he's suspected of murdering Sarah Campbell 17 years ago. You wouldn't dare, Robert hissed. I'm 17, Mr. Campbell, Madison replied coolly. Social media is my generation's superpower. How long do you think your reputation will survive once Farnger Justice for Sarah starts trending? Once your clients, your friends, your new wife start asking questions about what really happened that night? Another long silence. Meet me, Robert finally said. Just you, Catherine. No police, no James, no Madison. If you want to discuss this further, it has to be face to face. Every instinct screamed that this was a trap. Robert was dangerous, cornered, desperate. No, James said firmly before I could respond. Catherine isn't meeting you anywhere. Then this conversation is over, Robert snapped. And so is any chance of resolving this peacefully. Wait, I said quickly. Where do you want to meet? The cafe across from your house. 1 hour. Come alone or don't come at all. He hung up before I could respond. You can't go, James insisted immediately. It's too dangerous. I agree with Dad, Madison said, her face pale with worry. He could hurt you. In a public cafe? In broad daylight? I shook my head. He's too careful for that. He wants to intimidate me, to threaten me in person, but he won't risk violence in front of witnesses. Then I'm coming with you, James declared. No, if he sees you, he'll leave. This might be our only chance to get him to confess, or at least to gather more information we can use against him. Then we call Detective Reeves, Madison suggested. Have him station officers nearby watching. It was a good idea. I nodded, picking up my phone to call the detective. Reeves agreed to have plainclothes officers in the cafe, posing as customers. Don't take any risks, Mrs. Taylor, he cautioned. If Campbell makes any threats, any at all, signal the officers. Your safety is the priority here. An hour later, I sat in the cafe, a cup of untouched coffee cooling on the table before me. The cafe was busy enough for anonymity, but not so crowded that conversation would be impossible. I spotted the 2 plainclothes officers Reeves had described, a woman reading a newspaper at the counter, and a man typing on a laptop near the door. The bell over the door jingled, and Robert entered. He looked composed, elegant in his expensive suit, but I could see the tension in his shoulders, the tightness around his eyes. He ordered a coffee at the counter before joining me at my table. Catherine, he greeted me, as if this were a casual meeting between old acquaintances. Thank you for coming. What do you want, Robert? I asked, cutting to the chase. He sipped his coffee, studying me over the rim of the cup. You look well. The years have been kind to you. They've been survivable, I replied coldly. No thanks to you. Always the victim, he sighed. Even after you stole my child, destroyed my marriage, ruined my reputation in Millfield. Sarah was leaving you because you abused her, I said, keeping my voice low but firm. I helped her because I loved her, because she was afraid for her life and the babies. Everything that happened after was a consequence of your actions, not mine. Robert's pleasant mask slipped for a moment, anger flashing in his eyes before he controlled it. You turned her against me, he said, his voice hardening. You convinced her I was a monster. You poisoned her mind, just as you've poisoned Madison's. Sarah knew exactly who you were, I countered. The broken ribs, the black eyes, the accidents that always seemed to happen when she displeased you. She didn't need me to tell her you were dangerous. She lived it every day. Lies, he hissed, leaning forward. All lies. Sarah was unstable, depressed during her pregnancy. She imagined things, exaggerated things, and you encouraged her delusions. Is that what you told yourself after you pushed her down those stairs? I asked quietly. That she was unstable? That she deserved it? Robert's knuckles whitened around his coffee cup. I didn't push her. She fell. She was hysterical, threatening to leave with my baby. She wasn't thinking clearly. Your baby? The DNA test proved Madison was never yours. His eyes narrowed. DNA can be falsified. Samples can be switched. By who? The Portland Police Department? The independent lab they used? You're grasping at straws, Robert. It's over. Madison is my daughter. My biological daughter. She always was. Then Sarah lied to me, Robert said, his voice deadly quiet. She told me the baby was mine. She let me believe I was going to be a father. I chose my words carefully, aware that we were approaching dangerous territory. Sarah did what she had to do to survive, to protect herself and the baby she was caring for us. For you, Robert repeated, the pieces finally clicking into place. It was never a traditional surrogacy, was it? It was your egg and James's sperm. Sarah was just the carrier. Yes, I confirmed. Sarah couldn't have children of her own. Another fact she was afraid to share with you, knowing how you might react. She offered to carry our child as a gift of love, the greatest gift one friend could give another. Robert was silent for a long moment, digesting this information. And when did you decide to steal her away? Before or after you realized Sarah was planning to leave me? We never planned to steal anyone, I explained, though I knew he wouldn't believe me. The original agreement was that Sarah would carry our baby, and then we would raise her together, in the same town, as an extended family. But when your abuse escalated, when Sarah feared for her life, plans changed. So you admit you were planning to take Madison away from me? He pounced, as if catching me in a confession. From an abusive environment? Yes, I acknowledged. Sarah and I both wanted Madison to grow up safe, loved, free from fear, something Sarah never had with you. Robert's facade finally cracked, raw fury twisting his features. You had no right, he snarled, his voice still low but vibrating with rage. No right to judge my marriage, to interfere, to take what was mine. Madison was never yours, I repeated, and Sarah shouldn't have been either. Not as a possession, not as something you owned and controlled. I loved her, he insisted, in my own way. Your love killed her, I said bluntly. Whether you meant to push her down those stairs or not, your abuse, your control, your rage led directly to her death. And then, instead of facing the consequences, you hid her body and tried to frame me for her murder. Robert's eyes darted around the cafe, checking who might be listening. The plainclothes officers were still in position, carefully not watching our table too obviously. Be very careful what you're implying, Catherine, he warned. I'm not implying anything. I'm stating facts. Thomas Grant saw your brother and the Mercers removing Sarah's body from the morgue. We know they took her to the Millfield Marketplace construction site. It's only a matter of time before the police find her remains and determine exactly how she died. You're bluffing, he said again, but with less conviction than before. Am I? I reached into my purse and withdrew a printout, a screenshot of Madison's drafted Instagram post, complete with old newspaper clippings, photos of Robert, and the hashtag #InJusticeForSarah. Madison is ready to share her story with the world, to publicly question what happened to her surrogate mother 17 years ago, to ask why Robert Campbell's construction site has never been searched for Sarah's remains. I slid the paper across the table to him. He glanced at it, his face paling slightly. Social media hysteria proves nothing, he said dismissively, but his fingers tightened on the paper, crumpling it. No, but it creates pressure, public interest, media attention. How long before someone starts asking hard questions? How long before Brian Mercer decides that unburdening his conscience is more important than protecting you? How long before the Millfield Police Department is forced to reopen the case? Robert was silent, his mind clearly racing behind his carefully controlled expression. What do you want? He finally asked again, but this time his tone was different, less confident, more calculating. I told you, a confession, the truth about what happened to Sarah. And if I refuse, then we pursue justice through official channels. Madison shares her story. We provide Thomas Grant's testimony to the Millfield Police Department. We contact Brian Mercer. We don't stop until Sarah's body is found and you're held accountable for what you did to her. Robert leaned back in his chair, studying me with cold eyes. And if I were to clarify what happened that night, what would I get in return? What do you want? I asked, though I already knew the answer. For this to end, for Madison to keep her accusations off social media, for you and your family to disappear back into your quiet little lives and leave me to mine. It was tempting, so tempting, to finally be free of Robert, of the past, of the fear that had shadowed us for 17 years. But Sarah deserved justice. She deserved the truth to be known. I can't promise that, I said honestly, but I can promise that if you tell the truth now, voluntarily, it will go better for you than if you're forced to confess later, when Sarah's remains are found. Robert's jaw clenched. He seemed to be weighing his options, calculating risks and outcomes as he always had. That night, he began slowly, his voice so low I had to lean forward to hear him. Sarah was hysterical, screaming about leaving, about taking the baby. My baby, as I believed then. She had packed a bag. She was on the phone with you, making plans. I nodded, encouraging him to continue. I tried to reason with her, to remind her of our vows, our life together, but she wouldn't listen. She kept saying she couldn't live like this anymore, that she was afraid of me, that she and the baby deserved better. His expression hardened, as if I hadn't given her everything. A beautiful home, financial security, my name, my protection, and your fists, I added quietly. He ignored the interruption. When I tried to take the phone from her, she pulled away. We struggled, at the top of the stairs. It was an accident. I never meant for her to fall. But she did fall, because you grabbed her, because you tried to control her, as you always had. It was an accident, he repeated firmly. I called for an ambulance immediately. And afterward, when she died from her injuries, was it an accident when your brother and the Mercers removed her body from the morgue? Was it an accident when they buried her at your construction site? Robert's eyes met mine, cold and empty of remorse. I did what was necessary to protect myself. Anyone would have done the same. No, Robert. Most people don't hide bodies and frame others for murder. You have no proof of any of this, he reminded me. It's your word against mine. And I still have friends in Millfield. Powerful friends. Not as many as you think, I countered. Times have changed. Domestic abuse is taken more seriously now. Police departments have better forensic tools, and secrets have a way of coming to light, especially when people like Brian Mercer start to crack under the weight of their guilt. Robert's expression remained impassive, but I could see the calculation behind his eyes. He was cornered, and he knew it. What happens now? He asked. Now you go to the police. You tell them what you told me. You give Sarah the dignity of a proper burial. You give her family the closure they deserve. He laughed bitterly. And spend the rest of my life in prison? I don't think so. Then we do this the hard way, I said, rising from my chair. Detective Reeves is already in contact with the Millfield Police Department. Madison's post goes live tonight. By tomorrow, everyone will be asking what happened to Sarah Campbell and why her body might be buried under the Millfield marketplace. As I turned to leave, Robert grabbed my wrist, his fingers digging painfully into my skin. This isn't over, he hissed. I looked pointedly at his hand until he released me. Yes, Robert, it is. It's been over for 17 years. You just didn't know it until now. The plainclothes officer at the counter had stood, alert to the potential threat. I nodded slightly to indicate I was okay, then walked out of the cafe without looking back. Outside, James and Madison waited in our car across the street, just as we had agreed. As I climbed into the passenger seat, Madison leaned forward from the back. What happened? Did he confess? Yes, I said, still processing the conversation myself. Not officially, not on record, but he admitted it. He admitted pushing Sarah, hiding her body. Will he go to the police? James asked, already knowing the answer. I shook my head. No, he'll fight this every step of the way. Madison sat back, her expression determined. Then we fight harder. For Sarah. For us. For the truth. As we drove home, I glanced back at the cafe. Robert stood on the sidewalk, watching our car, his face a mask of cold fury. For 17 years, he had held power over us through fear, through the threat of what he might do if he found us. But that power was broken now. The truth was emerging, piece by piece, and not even Robert Campbell could stop it. 3 months later, we stood beside a newly installed headstone in the Millfield Cemetery. The marble was pristine, the engraving fresh and sharp. Sarah Elizabeth Campbell, beloved friend, courageous mother, finally at rest. The ground-penetrating radar had found anomalies beneath the eastern corner of the Millfield Marketplace parking lot, just as we had suspected. The excavation took nearly 2 weeks, but eventually, they found her, or what remained of her, wrapped in a tarp, buried beneath 6 feet of concrete and asphalt. Forensic examination confirmed what we had known all along. Sarah had suffered years of physical abuse before her death, healed fractures, evidence of repeated trauma. The fatal injury had been consistent with a fall downstairs, but the bruising pattern on what remained of her tissue suggested she had been pushed or thrown with significant force. Brian Mercer had been the first to break, confessing everything to the Millfield Police Department after Madison's social media campaign gained national attention. Victor followed suit, hoping for leniency in exchange for his testimony against Robert. The case against Robert Campbell was now proceeding toward trial, with both James and I scheduled to testify. Robert himself had been arrested 3 weeks after our confrontation in the cafe, following the discovery of Sarah's remains. His perfect life had crumbled around him, his company stocks plummeting, his second wife filing for divorce, his reputation in tatters. He had been denied bail due to flight risk and the severity of the charges: second-degree murder, obstruction of justice, tampering with evidence, and conspiracy. "Do you think she knows?" Madison asked softly beside me, laying a bouquet of white roses on Sarah's grave. "That we found her? That he's finally facing justice?" "I like to think so," I replied, wrapping an arm around my daughter's shoulders. Sarah was always stronger than anyone gave her credit for, stronger than even she believed. "I think some of that strength lives on in you." Madison leaned against me, her eyes on the headstone. "I wish I could have known her." "You do know her," James said, standing on Madison's other side. "Through the stories we've shared, through the people who loved her, through the sacrifice she made to bring you into this world and keep you safe." We stood in silence for a moment, each lost in our own thoughts. The autumn breeze rustled the leaves of the maple tree that shaded Sarah's final resting place. It was peaceful here, serene in a way that felt right after so many years of chaos and fear. "What happens after the trial?" Madison asked as we finally turned to leave. "Do we go back to Portland? Do we stay Catherine, James, and Madison Taylor?" It was a question we had been discussing for weeks. Our identities as the Taylors had been revealed during the investigation, our lives in Portland disrupted by media attention and the demands of the legal proceedings. We were no longer running, no longer hiding, but we weren't quite sure who we were supposed to be now. "We can be whoever we want to be," James said, taking my hand as we walked back to the car. "We can stay the Taylors, or we can reclaim our original names. We can return to Portland, or start fresh somewhere new. For the first time in 17 years, we have choices that aren't dictated by fear." "I'd like to finish high school in Portland," Madison decided. "My friends are there. My life is there. But maybe I'll apply to colleges as Madison Wilson Taylor, a combination of who I've always been and who I was meant to be." "I think Sarah would like that," I said, smiling through tears. She always believed in honoring the past while embracing the future. As we drove away from the cemetery, I gazed out at the town where Sarah and I had grown up, where we had shared so many memories, both joyful and painful. Millfield looked different now, smaller somehow, less threatening, but it would always be a part of our story. My phone buzzed with a text message from Detective Reeves. "Prosecutor wants to meet tomorrow. New evidence in Campbell case. Looking good." I showed the message to James, who nodded in satisfaction. Robert's defense was crumbling as more witnesses came forward, more evidence accumulated. The Campbell family's influence, once so powerful in Millfield, had waned in the face of public outrage over Sarah's murder and the subsequent cover-up. "Mom," Madison said from the back seat, "I've been thinking about what happens after all this is over. After the trial, after graduation. What about it, sweetheart?" "I still want to study marine biology," she said, "but I'm also thinking about adding a minor in victims advocacy or social work. Maybe even law, eventually." I turned in my seat to look at her, surprised but proud. "Because of Sarah?" Madison nodded. "Because of Sarah. Because of you. Because there are other women out there right now, trapped in situations they can't escape. Other children who need protection. Other truths that need to be uncovered." James caught my eye, his expression mirroring my own mixture of pride and concern. Our daughter had been through so much in the past few months. The revelation of her true origins, the media attention, the impending trial. Yet, instead of retreating from the trauma, she was finding purpose in it, strength in it. "Whatever you decide," he told her, "we'll support you, every step of the way." Madison smiled, her face reflected in the rearview mirror. "I know. You always have." We drove in comfortable silence for a while, passing through downtown Millfield toward the highway that would take us back to our hotel. As we passed the Millfield marketplace, now partially cordoned off as a crime scene, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. A burden I had carried for so long I had almost forgotten what it felt like to stand straight and unburdened. For 17 years, Robert Campbell had been a shadow in our lives, a threat lurking at the edges of our happiness. We had built a beautiful life despite his influence, but always with the knowledge that it could all come crashing down if he ever found us. Now, that shadow was gone, replaced by the bright light of truth and justice. I keep thinking about something Sarah said once. I mused aloud. It was during her first pregnancy scare, before she even married Robert. She was terrified of becoming a mother, convinced she would somehow mess it all up. What did she say? Madison asked. She said, "The thing about motherhood is that you don't have to be perfect. You just have to love them enough to do whatever it takes to keep them safe." I smiled at the memory. At the time, I thought she was just trying to calm her own fears. I didn't realize she was describing exactly what she would do years later, when she gave her life to protect you. And what you did afterward, James added softly, carrying on her legacy, keeping her promise. We all did, I corrected him. The three of us together. A family forged in crisis, but built on love. Madison reached forward, squeezing my shoulder. Do you think we'll ever feel normal again? Not looking over our shoulders, not jumping at shadows. I think we'll find a new normal, I told her honestly. One day at a time, one truth at a time. As we left Millfield behind us, I watched its familiar outline recede in the side mirror until it disappeared around a bend in the road. For the first time since that terrible night 17 years ago, I didn't feel like I was running away from something. Instead, we were driving toward something, toward a future no longer defined by secrets and fear, but by truth and possibility. Sarah had given us that gift. In her life, through her courage in facing Robert's abuse and making the decision to leave. In her death, through her final plea for me to take her baby, our baby, and keep her safe. And now, through the justice that was finally being served in her name. You kept your promise, Sarah, I whispered to the fading horizon. You protected her until your last breath, and I kept mine. I kept her safe, loved her as my own, as she always was. And now she's becoming a woman who would make you so proud. Madison would graduate high school in the spring. She would go to college, study marine biology, perhaps law or social work as well. She would carry forward the strength of two mothers, one who had carried her in her womb as a final act of friendship and courage, and one who had carried her through 17 years of life with love and protection. Two women, united in their determination to give her a future free from fear and abuse. As for James and me, we would rebuild our lives once more, not from scratch this time, but from a foundation of truth. We would testify at Robert's trial, help ensure that justice was served for Sarah. We would support Madison through college and beyond, watching with pride as she forged her own path. And perhaps, when the time was right, we would find our way back to the people we had been before fear and necessity forced us into hiding. The future stretched before us, no longer a narrow path of survival, but a wide-open road of possibilities. For the first time in 17 years, we were truly free. Free to remember, free to heal, free to become who we were always meant to be. And Sarah, I knew, would be smiling.